All right. Well, good morning and greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live Tuesday. That's right. We're now down to 9 days into the NFL draft. I get, everybody is talking about the draft. Everybody's talking about who we're going to go after, etc. Today, I wanted to examine the man who's going to be behind the draft, behind all of our selections, behind all the signings. Hey, any moves that happen to make, instead of worrying about the draft itself, let's examine the man, the myth, the legend who is Brad Holmes, the person perhaps most responsible for the draft process and ultimately the selections. Where Matt Millen once took us all wrong, where Bob Quinn sunk the ship, Brad Holmes has been the complete opposite of that. And I think any Lions fan you ask could say you got a lot of confidence in him. But also the other part about today's video is just how much belief do we have in him? Is he reached the status in Detroit for Lions fans where he can do no wrong? That no matter which area he takes us in the draft, free agency or whatever, you say, hey, I'm going to ride or die with it. I'm going to go with it. I'm asking that because we're going to point out just a couple things that maybe are a little tidbits for us to consider prior to the draft. And it has nothing to do with the draft picks or anything like that. But I want to examine the current Lions roster, the setup, and the salaries there within, see if this can give us any kind of inclination where we might potentially be going and perhaps what we'll be bringing in via the draft. Before we get into that, though, you guys all know the formalities. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, hope you consider doing so. We're, 16 subs away from hitting 6,400. So if you're out there, you're watching the channel, if you would be so kind as to hit the subscription button, that'd be great. Also, if you enjoy the content there within, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button. Really hoping we can get this video to about 200 thumbs up. As you guys know, it helps out the channel a lot. It helps new people find the channel, etc., etc., etc. All right, last but never least, outside of being a coach / scout and a YouTuber, I am a realtor, have been since the early 90s. So if you're considering buying or selling property anywhere in the state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. Let's see if I can use 30 years in the industry to help save you some money, make the process easier. You guys get the gist. You see my number on your screen, 269-998-2384. All right. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a dive here. I want to bring this up. Let's see if I can do this on the screen. All right, 1 second. Bear with me if you would, please, as I pull up the share screen. All right. Bada bing. I think there we go. Yep. Let's see if I can enlarge this a little bit, though, make it easier for you guys to read. All right, and let me get this off the screen. So I want to bring this up just to try to give us a little bit of evaluation. Again, I'm trying to find different things for us to consider instead of just talking about the draft all the time. Because I know some of you guys say that gets a little old. But I want to come over here and look at all the different contracts that are expiring in 2025. You got Goff's, Decker's, Carlton Davis, Kaminsky, Levi Onwuzurike, Marcus Davenport, Kevin Zittler, who we just signed, as you guys know, Aleem McNeil, Ife Melifanu, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derek Barnes, Emmanuel Mosley, James Houston, Clea Dorsey, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Kendall Vildor. I mean, you go through it, man. It's a long list. Michael Badgley, Nate Sudfeld, Dan Skipper, Traquan Smith, Craig Reynolds, Craig James. Boy, some of these guys, I don't even recognize their names. Jake Funky, Fountain. I mean, I'm not going to go through them all. Zonovan Knight, but you guys get it. There are a ton of people with expiring contracts for the Detroit Lions this upcoming year. Active contracts, you got the 200, we'll just say 219 million on the books. You got dead cap of just under 23 million. I won't go through all the rollovers or whatever, but here's my question. Can we use this information to give us some idea where the Detroit Lions potentially will be going with things as far as the draft? And I think you can. I think you can look at this and say, hey, based on the analytics of this and trying to think forward for Brad Holmes, there might be some real tells as far as where they're potentially going to go. I'm still the mindset that Jared Goff's going to be retained by this team, that he is going to be signed. I know there's more and more information coming out about it, But one thing I am a little bit wondering about is the safety position. And I'll bring this up to you. I think there's a couple things on defense, but I know that Kirby Joseph did not have the stellar year most people were expecting out of him. We've had conversations about Brian Branch playing more at safety than up at the line of scrimmage as a slot. So does that mean that potentially safety could be one of the positions Brad Holmes looks to target early in the draft? Maybe somebody like Cooper DeJean, or Dejan. I get there's 20 different ways I could potentially say his name, but let's see what you guys have to say. Let's start with that. Do you think the safety position is one Brad Holmes is going to look at sooner versus later in the draft? All right, let's get to the comment section. JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Hopefully having a great one. Robert, good morning. Dan, the Duke crew, exclamation points. Bo, and by the way, Robert, good morning to you, too. Bo, good morning, Duke crew, Superdome or bust, exclamation point. And Brad, we trust, the villain. Hey, I like it, man. Yeah, the villain. Robert G., someone who shops at Dollar General, how can you not trust him? That is true. He's not overspending by any means. Good morning, Bo. There you go, Robert. Steve Rogers, Captain America. Raise sanitations. All Holmes does not. Holmes does some head scratchers at times, but it always works out. You know, he talked about that a little bit this spring where he said, hey, you know, you guys might not always consider, and I'm paraphrasing here. You guys might not always think the way we do as far as the media versus the front office, but there's a reason. There's a logic behind every choice they make. And I do believe when you look at the books, how they've structured a vast majority of this team as far as expiring contracts for next year, I think they are trying to tell us something about what they're going to do in the draft and how they're going to try to address certain areas or positions with the team. All right, Moonscar, the draft will cement Brad Holmes' reputation as a draft guru, exclamation point. Let's go, exclamation point. And good morning, Detroit Lions lovers, exclamation point. And Broski, yeah, Broski, we haven't seen him in a couple days. I'm wondering if he'll be popping back in today or tomorrow or something like that before the draft. All right, Trumps, woo, the first woo of the show. Eduardo, let's have a day, people. I am exhausted. Okay, we'll get some rest there, Eduardo. Hopefully rest up and, hey, recover. All right, Bo, I don't scratch my head. I don't want to lose what hair I have left. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Quentin, let's see. Greetings and salutations, man. Brad hit on another draft. Then he a legend. Give him the damn town. Give him damn town. Yep, and I get it, man. His drafts have become really the thing of legend. He has done nothing but hit home runs. I'm not going to say every pick has been the Hall of Fame or anything like that, but you are right, Quentin. I mean, he has done incredibly well, especially by Detroit Lions standards, let alone NFL standards. Hookadoo, good morning, Duke crew. Go Lions, 100%. Eduardo, can we get to September already? Hey, we're one day closer. Look at it that way. Eduardo, I'm ready for football. Well, you can watch some UFL for now, I guess. And then, hey, after their season's done, you really only got to go a couple more months until you get to the preseason games. All right, Trumps, I'm more concerned with getting the kicker Bates than anyone in the draft. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I know Bates has built in, less than a month, a heck of a reputation for himself, and he has grown a fan base. There are a lot of people that are jumping up and down and, cheering his praises. The only thing I'll say to that is, hey, the guy's a stud as far as his leg strength. I know there's questions whether or not they can, get him to hit kicks outside or whatever, different environments. I'll just say I think he's pretty legit. I think he's got the accuracy. Now, can he continue doing that for a few more weeks, maybe another month or so? That's where I think we have to wait and see. He is 5 for 5. He's obviously got some leg strength. And, if we can get him to work out, if he will develop, if he'll sign with Detroit Lions, I'm going to guess everybody, if he signs with Detroit Lions, they're going to be pretty pumped. And perhaps, just perhaps, let's see if I can do this right here. We'll get something like this out of Brad Holmes when he signs. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's screaming, cheering, all that stuff. So there you go. Sorry, guys. I'm just having a little fun trying to add more videos and graphics to this trying to learn how to improve the show more and more. So just trying to have some fun, man. Let's see, Eduardo. What is everyone's plan for the draft? I'm going to be here. I'm going to be watching the draft. And then as news for the Detroit Lions come out, that's when I'll put stuff up there. As I talked about before, Eduardo, I thought about doing a live show for the first round. But, man, I think there is a real good chance the Lions trade out of the first round. And just the idea of being on the air for 4 hours and not having any really Detroit news to report, yeah, I'm deciding to pass on that. All right, Eduardo, I told you Brad Holmes' move is not to get Bates and say, we like our guys. Yeah, fair enough, man. Maybe they will do that. All right, let's see. Lions fan number one, Eduardo Wright, question mark. I'm so ready for the season to begin. Get the draft over with and let's get the games. There you go. Yeah, get on to it. All right, Eduardo, the Brad Holmes special. There you go. We maybe could do a deep dive. Maybe that's what this one is, a deep dive into Brad Holmes, the man, the myth, the legend, and all the things he does, all the chess pieces he's moving on the board to set up other moves later on. Berg time. Good morning, Do Crew and Dan the Man. Good morning to you, Bergs. Real quick, let me scroll down here. I know yesterday I mentioned it. I don't think I've passed it yet, but I know yesterday I mentioned it, and you can see it in the comment section. Bergs and his family are doing a fundraiser for mental health awareness and support. If you're interested in taking part in that, feel free to go ahead and contribute to that. The link is in the comment section, so feel free to go ahead and hop on that if you can. All right, there you go, Bergs. I promised I would help you out with that, and there you go. Detroit Zoo, Polar Bear, Plunge, what do you got? Which Lions assistant coach deserves the first pick? Brad Holmes works hard to see where the value and depth are at a position. Last year in a weak linebacker class, he took Jack Campbell early, for example. That's a good question, Polar Bear. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure I've got an easy answer for that. I know I started off the show by talking about the safety position, and I do believe there's not a ton of great safeties, but there are a few. And I do believe they potentially can all fall to roughly the 29th pick if we just stay there. The more I looked at the salaries for the team, I thought you could make an argument that if we're basing it on that and what the expiring contracts, who you might not come back, I do think there's probably a higher probability you're going to have something in the secondary or defensive end than any other position on this team. Yes, you could go offensive line or still wide receiver or whatever else, but I do think there's if you look at just the numbers, there's a pretty good there's a pretty good statement to be made that the Lions could target secondary more than anything else on this team. So we'll see if that shakes out. All right, Eduardo, exactly. Exclamation point. I'm so tired of hearing from other fans. I just want the games to story so the Lions can prove to the world they are legit. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we all want to be able to further cement this turnaround for the Detroit Lions and really kind of galvanize this team, push them into the forefront. Really, we've talked about on the show before, the Lions have another great season this year, and whether that's 10 wins, 12 wins, 15 wins, or whatever, that at some point that just starts becoming a part of your norm. And that would be 3 straight seasons where, hey, you got 9 wins, you got, 12 wins, whatever we get this year. That becomes what people know about the Detroit Lions. Yes, you still remember the bad times or whatever, but hey, more and more, this is who you are. This is, the expectation for the season, for the franchise, for the organization. So yeah, I'm with you on that we are legit. All right, what do you got? Let's see. Where do we go? Sorry, blipped here for a second. All right, Dennis, go do crew 100%. And good morning. Good morning to you, Dennis. Man Bear, greetings and salutations all. Did the Lions move the uni reveal date? If so, do you know when the new date is? I know it's this week. I was under the impression it was today, but I also saw something, and I didn't really read it in detail. So if somebody has better information, I want to say it was like the 18th or something like that. So what's that, Thursday? So yeah, there you go. It could be there. But double check with that. Maybe look online. If somebody does have the actual date, go ahead and put that in the comments section. Detroit Zoo, Polar Bear, what do you got? Townsend is going to have his hands full with the new cornerback room. Yeah, 100%. And like I said, I'm thinking more and more when I look at it from just a dollar cost analysis and the expiring contracts, I think there's a real strong possibility the Lions, if they don't go corner in the first round, it's probably round two. Maybe if just the right guy slips to them in the first round at 29, or they trade up, I guess, then they're probably going after cornerback. I'm leaning that way more and more, just again because the economics of this current team. All right, Eduardo, they didn't. They didn't. It's on Thursday night. Fair enough. Dennis, we believe in Brad. You have to believe in Brad, man. He's Brad Holmes, man, and I guess that's all you have to say at this point. Bo, what do you got? The 18th for the uniforms. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for the confirmation. Trumps, we are stacked. The draft is for maybe one starter, the rest backups. Yeah, developmental players. If we're real lucky, I think we get two starters this year. Where they'll be, wait and see. But I think it was easy 3 years ago to draft starters. Well, I shouldn't say it was easy, but it was easier. How about that? Because there was so little talent on this team. I mean, let's just be honest, it was trash. The team was not very good. I don't even think there was a receiver that started that first year of the new regime that is still in the NFL. St. Brown was not a starter at the beginning of the year. Goff, we all get it. He was the castaway or whatever. He's just happened to resurrect his career and become something. And man, has he become something. You look at a lot of the defense, there's not a whole lot of those guys left, but a lot of the rookies they're drafted have developed and evolved. I almost thought about doing a video on Levi Onwuzurike just because I don't think we really realize the season he had last year. I mean, they really were careful with his snap count. I get that, preserving him, preserving the back, the whole shebang and bang. But if you look at his stats, he's up there. I mean, he's near the top of the team in a lot of different categories, whether it's a win rate, ability to split defenders, ability to stuff the run in his gaps. I mean, he graded pretty high. And you can go on and on about how every draft it's become harder and thus more impressive that the Lions and Brad Holmes, the scouting department, everybody in between have done such a phenomenal job finding talent, etc. So, if we get more than a few starters this year, I'd say, man, the evaluation process the Detroit Lions are using and their ability to identify the personalities with that talent to bring them in, it would really need to be copied and studied by every, not that they're not already doing it, but every other NFL team would really have to invest in copying what we're doing. Because if they do, to your point, Trump's bring in more than one or two starters this year, yeah, they're doing something just incredibly right. Thaddeus, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Bo, 3 guys resigned yesterday. Brad moves in his own way. Yeah, they resigned him. Yeah, Yoda, as I've been told to call him, just because like MCDC doesn't always call the name right. So, hey, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm trying to be respectful. Houston and Craig Reynolds. And I know I put the quick video up about it, but hey, kudos to them, man. All of them are going to come in. They're all going to contribute. Oswaka or Yoda, I think he showed real growth and development as far as the offensive line last year. And if they don't go offensive line early this year, maybe that is a strong indication that Yoda and Scoresdale really are better than they're anticipating. I still think they need to get a tackle and an interior offensive lineman for the future, but maybe they address that in later rounds. Maybe they feel like they can just grow them and develop them. They don't need to invest early round picks in them. I don't know. I'll leave that to whatever happens on draft day. Michael, greetings, salutations, coach and Duke crew, exclamation points, and good morning to you, Michael. Eduardo, what kind of edge players should we prioritize opposite of Hutch? In my opinion, I mean, I know I basically put out a video last night about Marshawn Needland coming in to visit the Detroit Lions. He's going to visit the Packers and a ton of other teams too. But the more I watch the kid, and I know I did video breakdown on him, so if you guys didn't get an opportunity to check it out, I'm trying to toy with more and more video stuff. It's more or less, that's the only reason why I did that video last night, is just so I could work with incorporating video into the show just to see what your guys' thoughts on it. It sounds like everybody really enjoyed it. And I tried to do the little clip this morning of Brad Holmes yelling and screaming in the elevator room, just again to keep toying with it, learning from it. Because my goal is when I do that NFL scouting breakdown video next week, I want to try to, as much as I can, say we'll pick out like 5 or 6 different players that I think the Lions realistically should be looking at for the draft. And as we go through the NFL scouting process, you do this, that, the other thing. Now let's analyze some real quick, 15, 20-second, whatever it is, clips on each of the guys, break them down. Let's look at the hand placements. Let's talk about, how they're shifting their body, holding their weight. It's all going to come down to different positions, but I want to try to incorporate that more and more just so I can use it as an educational tool, I guess, and get your guys' thoughts on it. All right, Eduardo, if the Lions draft edge, what kind of packages could we run on like third downs and a long situation when can you use rookies plus Houston, Aleem, Hutch, and Reader, or does one have to hit the sidelines? I'm going to guess on third and long. It's just my guess. Reader's probably not out there. Maybe I'm completely off base by that. But I do think on third and long, you're probably moving Hutch inside with Aleem. Maybe you go to Pascal at that point, have Houston out wide, and then, somebody else on the other side. Maybe it's Davenport. We probably shouldn't forget about him. Really, the only thing that's slowed down Marcus Davenport has been his injury history. I'm not saying he's great, but I think he's pretty decent, especially when healthy. All right, Trumps, how much is the highest paid kicker getting? That's a good question. I want to say it's around $3.5 million a year, but don't hold me to that. Maybe it's $4 million, maybe it's more. It's been a while since I've really analyzed a kicker's contract. All right, Dave, what do you got? Ask Bates. Yes, he's gonna get paid from somebody, whether it's us or whoever. Somebody's paying that guy. Trump, we definitely need Bates. Pay the man. Yeah, it'd be nice to get him. I'd have no problem with him. Eduardo, if Bates is a Lion, that's the first jersey I'll buy. There you go. All right, Eduardo, when has Brad done what we wanted anyways? Not very often, man. Not very often. All right, Trumps, I hear his name is Master. Yes, indeed. Knew that was coming. Rotation, exclamation point. Hutch is going to see more insides this year. I don't think of who is the starter, but what the situation is. Yeah, I would agree with that. The only hesitation I have with Hutch inside is just the wear on the body that causes more and more. Now, I think we all get the vast majority of the time he's going to be lined up out wide. I'd say play him inside sometimes isn't bad, especially if you use them when he's on the inside on some interior stunts, maybe with Lee McNeil or whoever else. But I do want to try to, as much as possible, keep him on the outside and keep his overall snap count from the 90 percentile like they did most of last year. I'd like to maintain it around 65 to maybe 72%, somewhere like that, so he should stay fresher longer. Once they dropped him from 90% with about a month or so left in the season, you could really see when they took him down to 70%, just he had much more explosion. He didn't look so burned out and gassed at the end of every game. To me, I got to imagine that's not lost on them, especially if they're getting some better depth out there. I understand why they played him more. They needed him out there, needed the production. But at the same time, I think ultimately they'll get more production out of him and keep him healthier over a longer term in his career if you can protect him a little bit and just give him a few more breaks. All right, Ken. Good morning, Coach and New Crew! Exclamation point. If you want Bates in Detroit, then we need to support the Michigan Panthers. Show up, cheer him on, show him some love, make him never want to leave. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. Bo, we already worked on that one. Trump, there you go. Hatman, good morning, Dan and the New Crew. Woo! 100%. Good morning to you, Hatman. Hopefully you're having a great one. There's the link again in the comments section for anybody who wants to help out Bergs. All right, Stephanie, good morning, Duke Crew. Good morning to you, too. Hopefully, I'm having a great one. Brent, good morning, everyone. I hate the tight end pick last year, and look, I hated the tight end pick last year. Look how that turned out. And Brad, I trust completely. Hey, everybody was jumping up and down about that, probably more so Campbell and Gibbs. But whatever, man. Everybody had their own thoughts on it. What we can say, Brent, to your point, is that, hey, it all worked out in the end. I know where I'm casting my votes more and more for where I think we're going to go. You'll probably see that reflective in my final mock draft, the one that I'll pick all the stuff next week. Hooker time. Good morning to all you Hooker fans. There you go. Good to see you, Hooker. It's been a minute. Glad to see you in the chat. And yes, the Hendon Hooker and Hooker fans are all around. Doug, good morning, Duke Crew. Good morning to you, Doug. Lance, go get Bates. Draft well again this year. We will win the Super Bowl. 100% with that. I'll go with that, man. All right, Doug, been watching the Leos since the 1957 title game. Was 9 years old. If anyone has the right to believe in him, I do. Best GM and owner we have ever had. Thanks, Sheila. Yeah, and I know I thought about doing a video just on Sheila today, but maybe I'll do it, this week or next week. Just always looking for topics and trying to not to make it draft only conversations, mock draft, 50.0 or whatever. Just trying to keep more stuff for you guys. And yes, Doug, you've been watching the Lions longer than I have, by the way, in case you're wondering. All right, Robert, what do you got? Was in Detroit yesterday, fishing the river. Should have tried to go to meet some player at the training facility as we got skunked. There you go. I know the players reported yesterday to a few NFL teams for, workouts, etc. You saw the Lions put out videos on it. They did a good job with the marketing. And, hey, guys are aware, man. You've had about a month, 2 months off or whatever it is. Now it's time to get back in the gym, start working out, start the process towards getting ready for the season. Rocky, good morning, all. Compared to all the GMs I've had to put up with over 50 years, he's the genius on the block. He is. Yeah, he's at this point, he's done no wrong. There is no reason to doubt him and question him. Uncle Buzz, possibly center backup UFL St. Louis, number 61. Check him out. I will do just that. Just say K. Greetings and salutations, all. Let's win this year's draft again. 100%. You do that again this year, this team will be stacked beyond belief. Trump's, yes, Russ Thomas was a gem. Russ Thomas. Now that's bringing back a name. There were a lot. I know there were not a lot of fans of him as far as the players and maybe even the front office. I doubt if most of the fans really had an opportunity to meet him. Just because I know Russ didn't do that type of stuff a ton. But, yeah, he was kind of a galvanizing, or I could say a question mark as far as some of the different situations he did, some of the choices he made, etc. So it is what it is at this point. That's ancient history. But, yeah, I remember Russ Thomas well. All right, Eddie, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew! Exclamation points, and good morning to you, Eddie. Just good morning, all. Morning to you, too. Hatman, I really think if we trade up, it's for Donovan Peoples-Jones. Just my thoughts. I mean, Jackson Powers-Johnson, I'm assuming. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe you want to trade up for Donovan Peoples-Jones. That is possible. Let me know. All right, Doug, he hasn't given away cash, draft slots, and we don't have any idea where he's up to. That's saying a lot. Ohio, and we were returning a two-win playoff team. Yeah, 100%. We were returning to a two-win playoff team. We've only lost a couple pieces from this team. And to your point, he does not give away cash. He does not overspend on players just to get some sort of media headline or whatever in the off season. And yes, I do think there are a lot of general managers who do that just to try to appease fans, get ticket sales up. At the end of the day, does it really help though? Man, I don't know. Maybe it buys you a little bit of street cred for a couple weeks in the media just because, hey, you see all they're doing. They're bringing in this guy. They paid him all that money. But yeah, if you're just giving somebody a big paycheck just to create that media presence, then you're probably on borrowed time as a general manager or a coach. All right, Dennis, how about Red Wings last night? I heard they did well. I heard I didn't really watch the game, but I heard they did well. Something about overtime or whatever. So good for them. Now I'd have to ask you guys, just because I have no clue, are they in the playoffs for sure now? That I don't know. All right, Miles Marker, good morning. This is the fourth draft. 3 is a charm, but it's fourth. But 4 is a pattern! Exclamation point. So if he does good this time, I will no longer doubt. That's fair enough, man. Yeah, you get 4 straight drafts, 4 straight years of good drafts, no real busts or anything. Yeah, you're right. It is a trend. It is a pattern, and the trend is typically your friend. Murder time. Good morning, Dan. Put the link in the chat for the charity my bro is running in honor of Jordan. She unfortunately is not with us, so all proceeds will be going to mental health. Thank you. Yeah, that's a link I put up there earlier. So if anybody is interested in helping out, please use that link in the comment section to go ahead and help out Bergs in that awareness for mental health. All right, Robert G. After seeing the resigning of Houston, I believe unless something bad happens, Houston will be the bookend to Hutch. Just my opinion. And you and I think alike. I just think, yes, Houston has weaknesses, but yes, he has some strengths. Yes, this team could use some of those strengths, in my opinion. We'll see ultimately what happens. I just think Houston really gives you a lot of flexibility. And now that you have DJ Reader to try to support some of the weaknesses in James Houston, to me, I'd be on that all day and just say, hey, you want to go at him? You know what? We can shift the linebackers over to cover, help out that side a little bit more if you're going to try to expose James Houston's weaknesses. I think you can kind of mitigate them. So we'll see if that's what they do. Murder time. Hit the like button. Let's help Dan out. Do crew strong. 100%. Yeah, on my side, I can't see the likes. As you guys well know, I can tell you we've got over 400 people watching either via Facebook or YouTube or whatever other platform. But if you guys can, hit the like button. It helps the channel out a ton. All right, Miles Marker, gotcha on that. Bird time. Thank you for supporting youth and mental health. Hey, thanks for helping out with that, Miles. Thank you very much. Eduardo, we got a lot of guys on contract years. Yes, we do. And to me, that's a telling sign as a general manager. And because let's be honest, I think I read off about 20 names. They're not going to resign all 20 of them to longer term deals. And probably not all of them are going to come back on 1-year deals again. So you're probably looking for some replacements with the draft, potentially this year and next year to help mitigate some of the losses. All right, Eduardo, hopefully a lot of them perform. Yes, I think, hey, you want people to go out there and give it their all. You put them on 1-year prove-it deals because you know what? They're playing for the next paycheck. So good point on that, Eduardo. Brad better open up the bag. He's going to for probably some of them, but probably not all of them. Bird time. My pleasure, Mile Marker. Each season we run different charities. This year was mental health. I wish it was under better circumstances. 100% with that. And yeah, very sad Jordan was so young. It happens, man. I mean, one of the downsides of coaching for 30 plus years is that unfortunately you see situations arise with people. You wish you could help them out with it. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. All right, Doug LT Express. Taylor. Wow, I can't talk. Taylor Decker will be replaced. It is possible. Yeah. I am starting to think more and more with this being the final year of his contract. Could they potentially be looking for a replacement for Taylor Decker? I guess I'll put it this way, Doug. It all comes down to how well he performs. And yes, he's on a prove-it-year deal, I guess you could say. If he comes out and just really crushes it, then you probably have to look at re-signing him. If he's meh or he just kind of average, then you're probably looking at moving Penei Sewell over there next year and bringing in a replacement at right tackle. Dennis Jackson Powers Johnson or bust, 100%. There's a lot of people that like him, and you hear a lot of national media, you hear a lot of scouts, analysts talk about the guy. I've got no problems with him, especially if they get him at the right location, in my opinion. All right, Gary, good morning, Duke Crew. Good morning to you, too. Broski, good morning, Dan, everyone. Good morning to you, Broski. Good to see you. It's been a couple days, man. All right, Matthew Grace and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust. Woo! 100%, Matthew. Good morning, and thanks you for being a part of the show. Gary, Brad has golden touch. He does, man. I almost thought about putting Brad Holmes' picture on a Jesus picture, have the hands up and a bunch of people looking up at him. But maybe I'll save that till after the draft when we are grading out this year's draft. Doug Kirby has cover skill deficiencies. Yeah, great ball skills. Mixed bag, could use another type of blend in. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier in the show, Doug, about I do wonder. I mean, Kirby's a young player, so he can easily have a phenomenal year 3 in the league. He did have a great rookie season. His last year was not bad. It just wasn't what his rookie season was. So is it possible that Brian Branch starts getting more snaps back there if he's performing at a higher level and Kirby's, just kind of in the middle? Or does Ife Melifanu return to earth instead of staying up high? The good thing is the Lions have a lot of flexibility currently, and they could obviously add to that flexibility with the draft. Merc time. Thank you, Dan, for all your help and kindness. Let me post on your channel. Definitely class act. You are. I hope you get to all of your goals with the channel. My goals are just today's show and tomorrow's show. Like you and I have talked about before, man. When I started this, man, it was just for fun. I'm just going to keep it for fun. Keeps growing. Hey, man, there's more people hopefully having fun with it, and that's the ultimate thing for me. I'm not here trying to make a career or anything out of it. If I retire in 10 years and the channel's still here, then fine, man. I got something to do in the mornings while I'm retired. I just really enjoy being out here with everybody, talking Lions, just being a part of it. And to me, I couldn't ask for more. All right, Matthew, I believe in Brad like Wendy believes in Tinkerbell. There you go. Everybody clap. There you are. There you are. Phil, love the picture, by the way. The hair of power has lost its form today. Yeah, it's ready for a haircut. I tried to go in yesterday, but I couldn't believe it. They had like a 6 hour wait. I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm gonna try and go in today and get the hair of power to restore some. All right, Eduardo, y'all said his name and he showed up. There you go. Broski is here. Phil, go Red Wings. What a game. Yeah, I heard about it this morning, but again, I didn't have time to watch the highlights or anything like that. All right, Taylor made. Maybe Brad Holmes believes in orchestrating the franchise as opposed to just building a roster. This is a good point. He's running it basically like a company. He's doing a lot of things to keep cost analysis in, make sure we're not overspending, not wasting. And you know what? He's thinking about the now and the future. So that's where I think he's separating from a lot of prior general managers in Detroit Lions history. Too often they were just focused on 1 or 2 seasons, the immediate, and not planning for the future. I'll use this as an example. I think if they would have had more of that mindset in the 2013-14 team, you probably could have had a better run out of them. Maybe like another 2 or 3 seasons solid. They didn't. They made some short-term moves that cost them long-term potential, and you kind of tank the ship because of it. So, TaylorMade, I think you're spot on with that. Smoke you some. Good morning, Duke Crew. Good morning to you. That's a nice thumbnail, by the way. That's a good one. Eduardo, Dan is a funny guy. Every once in a while, I have a moment. Doug, last year we traded Hawkway, then intended to add a top one. Getting an early second in a trade ensured him one would be picked without giving up our second. So first 2 picks were in the can. Yes. And what we'll do this year with ours, I've got my opinions, and I've shared them with you guys. Let's hear your guys' opinions. Doc Beck, what do you got? Holmes could draft a backup punter, and I'm cool with it. He probably has a reason. This is also true. And not that I want to see Jack Fox go or anything, but I get where you're going with that, man. Yeah, he's always thinking like pieces on a chessboard. The non-laughers. Good morning, Dan of the Duke Crew. Good morning to you. Hopefully you have an outstanding one. Roger, what do you got? The only one I trust more is my Lord Jesus Christ and maybe my wife. Fair enough. We'll go with that, Roger. That's probably a fair statement. Doug, love the elevator. Yeah, thanks for that, man. I'm going to try to keep incorporating stuff like that more and more. I just got to get a few more things worked out and, keep learning, right? Eduardo, we love it. Keep it up. Fair enough. I'm on it, man. Every time that was epic. Love Holmes. Yeah, he was he had some pep in that one, man. He was probably had a few Mountain Dews before he got onto that elevator. All right, Phil, wanted to improve the show. Let Jen do it. Fair enough. She probably would do a good job with it. I mean, she really, when she dials into something, the rest of the world don't matter. Let me tell you. All right, Eduardo, there's 3 things Lions can do. 1, stay at 29. 2, trade up. 3, trade down. There's a higher chance they don't pick at 29. I would agree with you 100%. I think you guys have heard me for a while. I think they're trading up. I just think it's going to be hard to support that many draft picks this year without leaving them exposed. And even when I did my mock draft, you guys saw I traded down from 29 to whatever it was, 31 or something like that. And then again to 34. And from there, now that you had those extra draft picks, I tried to really push the bulk of the draft into the 2nd and 3rd round to get some guys that I thought would really help out. And from the late rounds, basically you're just filling out the roster, keeping some things cheap, but developmental guys that if I have to put them on the developmental squad, I just think there's less likelihood that they're going to get snatched up right away. All right, Matthew, if we go up and can get Cooper DeJean, that would be a win. If Cooper is gone, then Mike Santrilli, would be a good second. 2 of the smartest DB safeties in the draft. The Michigan kid, I think he could be a pretty decent, I want to say he's a Brian Branch, but something similar to that, where he can play in the slot, play safety. You can move him around like a chess piece. With Cooper, I think you'd see him play the what do you want to call it? The star position that they basically term it now in college football. And basically what that means is, You can play him out. You can basically play him anywhere on the field other than maybe defensive line and maybe your Mike linebacker or something like that. So he'll play weak side backer. He'll play slot corner or safety. Play him all over the place. I mean, that kid's got some real versatility. Plus, he can come downhill and truck, and he can help out in the punt and kickoff return game. Yeah, Cooper could be, I think, an interesting pick if he is available to us. David, can't wait for the draft. Let's go Detroit, 100%. Good morning to you, David. Hopefully having a great one. Broski, Lions need to draft a cornerback and a S this draft. They also need another defensive end. And all of them are probably in play. It's just going to come down to, obviously who you can acquire. Me, we get Cooper DeJean, and, I know Broski's not a huge fan of him yet, but Marshawn Nealon, and then add in some other pieces here and there. I'd say that has the potential to be a pretty decent draft. Doug, last year we teased everyone with a running back at 12 and a linebacker later. Who was excited? Question mark. At the time, no one paid attention to the new second round pick coming. This draft, maybe the same thing. Be patient day. That's probably the biggest thing with the draft is really the only way to know if you won the draft, let's be honest, is that you see the people play. And sometimes it's not always year one. There's a lot of question marks about Broderick Martin last year, but this year, if he comes in and plays, contributes, there'll be less question marks, and they'll probably start revisiting things. Green, if he comes in and let's just say he gets some snaps and starts proving himself. Now that draft looks, it already looks great last year's, but it'll just look off the charts good. There's a huge reason, I get it, being in the media and such. You need to sell newspapers, you need to sell magazines, subscriptions. If you're running YouTube, you got to get likes and you got to get people to watch your show, right? So I get as soon as that draft pick's made, everybody's going to be out there analyzing it, giving their opinions, yelling and screaming about it. But the honest reality is nobody knows what those picks will be until you see them out on the field. So maybe they'll be great, maybe they won't, but we'll have to wait and see. Doesn't mean we all can't have a viewpoint on it though. Miles Marker, what do you got? Donation made. Thank you for the link, Burger Time. There you go. And thanks, Miles Burger. Broski, Wardo, you're not tired of hearing from Broski Bear, though. No, never. You're always welcome to the show. Burger Time, hey, I'm going to get a do, and you know what? I'm going to get a hot dog. Maybe two today. So thanks for that, man. Burger Time, thanks for the help. Hey, anytime, man. More than willing to help a cause. And just so you guys know, anybody watching, if you guys got some sort of cause to help kids out or people in need or whatever it is, just go ahead and contact me about it. This channel is about, helping everybody out, having fun, talking obviously about the Detroit Lions, but let's not forget the real world. If you're trying to help people out, I have zero problem trying to help you out with it. So contact me if you have something, and I'll do everything I can to help you guys out. Burger Time, go get a hot dog and do. You can bet on that. In about 17 minutes, I will be out the door. SB, what do you got? It changed the 18th for Lions then. There you go for the uniform reveal. There you go. And thanks for that. Phil, the story of the year is yet to be written. There is no guarantees. This is correct, man. You are not incorrect with that. In the world of sports especially, don't ever assume a team's going to do something because you know what? If you come with that mindset, you're probably not working as hard as you could. And you'll probably end up regretting it once you find out you got booted from the playoffs or whatever your regular season is or whatever. Yeah, there's the term I like to use is from Rocky. Was it Rocky 2? There is no tomorrow. Maybe that was Rocky 3. Sorry, Rocky 3, Mr. T. Burger Time. Thank you, Miles Margaret. Means the world. All right. Bergs, yep, the 18th. All right, Pat, what do you got? Good morning, Coach. Do you think the Lions are really interested in the big OT from the Canadian University team? They brought in for the top 30 visit. Yeah, it's just going to come down to obviously where do you think he's really going to be drafted at? I have not scouted him. I have not done video breakdown on him, so I'm going to absolve my opinion on him just because it wouldn't be fair. I'd be speculating. So I'll leave that to the Lions, though. But I don't see if they feel like he's of value at whatever level, I don't see why you wouldn't try to get him. Eduardo L, fair enough. Bo, Levi is going to be a dog. Yeah, and now that back should be fairly right, now that he's had some time for it to really heal and adjust, he might just end up making a bit of more of an impact next year. And last year, while it was limited, he did play well. Doug, what do you got? Oops, come on. Here we go. All right, there we go. Doug, offensive line is premium choice. Replace an expensive Taylor Decker, cover for Zettler and or slash Ragnow after this year. And if we have injuries, we have backups unproven, not good enough for a Super Bowl. You could cut some costs. You could save some money by having, as you're putting out, some less expensive offensive linemen. I'd still hope if they sign Goff that Goff really does consider taking a wee bit less. I know he's spoken about it, but you can say whatever you want. Put your mouth where your money is, or your wallet is, or however you want to term it. But let's see what shakes out with that. Eduardo, people are giving up on Levi. Technically, this is his third playing season coming up. Yeah, rookie year was pretty much shot with a back injury. So we'll see what shakes out with him. But again, last year, on limited snaps, I think they were trying to just slowly bring him along. He did very well. So is Broderick Martin. Yeah, I think my anticipation with him is he's going to make a pretty significant jump this year. Doesn't mean he's going to be in the Pro Bowl. Doesn't mean he's going to lead the league in sacks or anything like that. But I think he's going to be a sound rotational piece this year. If he doesn't this year get into that, then you have to start raising an eyebrow about his potential. Eduardo, what is Brad doing that other teams aren't? This is just my opinion and no basis to it other than just an opinion. I think where they are hitting on with so much things where other NFL, it's a couple things. Obviously, you have good scouts when it comes to talent, but when you evaluate their players, they have normals that other teams aren't having. So I think a lot of it does come down to the personality traits. And it's not just with the draft, it's also with free agency. You look across the board at the vast majority of the backbone of this team, and they're all very similar personality types. They also have certain background elements that help push that personality even forward more. So now that you add that in along with the talent, I think it's, you guys, if you watch this show for a while, there are markets I work in when it comes to scouting. Most of it is going to be the Middle East and or Asia that they are damn specific about. We will not accept this type of personality trait, this type of personality. So if you evaluate somebody as having those two, you really, unless they are just beyond reproach and everything else, going to have to take them off your list. Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions clearly are looking for very specific types of people to bring onto the team to build around. And once they've done that, they've eliminated half the people that I think are distractions to the team on the norm. You see a lot of guys in the league that are very gifted, are very good, but they probably come with some, raised eyebrows, question marks. Some teams have no problem taking them. If that's your norm, that's who you are. Brad Holmes, you look at everything from the front office down to the coaching staff, down to the players, down to the security guards. They have structured the team with a very fine tool to make it all uniform across the board. And I think that's why they're being so successful. It is also probably why some other players weren't retained either this offseason or in prior seasons. All right, Pat, you need to do your own mock draft. It would be fun to see who you would take. So if you go back on the channel, Pat, about a week ago, you can see that I did that one. I'll do two of them. The first one, basically I just tried to draft as I would anticipate Brad Holmes would, even offered personality trait breakdowns on each of the players selected and the thought process as to why you would take this person. But I'll do one more. I think we're going to do the interactive Dude Crew mock draft Sunday, and then I'll do the final mock draft, I guess you could say, mine next Tuesday, and I'll do that with you guys. And I'm going to try as best I can for that one, add video on each of the selected players. Also means I have to be able to find enough video on each of the selected players. So when we're going through that morning, I'll say, all right, here's what I'm taking the first round. Let's watch some video. Here's what I see when I, from a scouting standpoint, second rounder. I mean, you get the gist, man. All right, Kara, I'm optimistic that Levi, Pascal, and Kaminsky are going to be more productive on the line this year. We brought Terrell Williams in for a reason. What they have in their guys. Yes, they do know who they are at this point. Pascal, I thought he did pretty well last year. It's just he's got to stay on the field. He's got to stay healthy. Levi, as we've already talked about, I thought he did very well. They just really watched how many snaps he got, I think, just to be protective of that back. Comiskey, was probably the biggest disappointment out of anybody on the defensive line last year. It's just what you got out of him the season prior and what you got last year. There was a noticeable difference. Kara, good morning, coach and do crew! Exclamation point! Happy Tuesday. There you go, and hopefully you're having a good one too. Still need one more, guys. Kara, there you go. Yep, still need one more at least. Broski, Yoda, did you find him in the swamp down in Dagobah? We did, and you know what? Hey, he helped out a lot last year. I think he grew noticeably throughout the season. I want to say he even started a couple games, but don't hold me to that. David, do you think Broderick Martin is going to be ready this year? I do. Now, again, do I think he's going to go off for 50 sacks a game? No. But do I think he's going to be a sound rotational piece? I do. And this kid's got some size and he's got athleticism. When they brought him in, and you guys know when we did the draft talk, whatever, throughout last year and then even this offseason, I just think a lot of his stuff comes down to his balance, his hand placement, and it trickles down from there. When you see him get on the snap on the ball, he gets too upright too quick. So the offensive lineman can get in and under him, especially under his shoulder pads, and they get quick win rates on him. That's the problem I saw with him coming out of college. It's nothing to do with his athleticism, nothing to do with his personality traits, nothing to do with his work habits. That stuff's all there. But playing at a little bit different level in college, he was probably just able to basically bully people around because he is, 340 pounds. He's fast, he's powerful, and these are just natural skill sets for him. I think, you get another off season of working with him, getting him to stay down his stance more, to get more leverage, maybe get some wrestling coaches to work with him. I think he can be a real find in time if he puts in the work and then obviously all processes through to him. So I have no doubt in him. I just think, we all sometimes forget that most players do take a while. I know last night's show I was talking about, Robert Porsche. Robert Porsche was not much his rookie season. Second year, he started to develop, but kind of slowly. But once he got to his third year, he really exploded. He became one of the best defensive linemen or ends in the NFL. Same with Jerry Ball. I mean, you can go through the laundry list of people, and you don't have to go back 30 years. Those are just the ones that quickly come to my mind. Not everybody's Ndamukong Suh, where as soon as they step on the field, they might be one of the best players in the NFL. But Broderick Martin, I think, will be very good in time. Bo, what do you got? Tackle's a big need. Decker is in decline. I would agree. No real starter level backup. Yes, correct. I would say it's not a bad idea if they start addressing that sooner versus later. All right, Gary, what do you got? Good morning, all. Grit for life! Exclamation point. Dan, trying to find good content this time of year is like grasping at straws. You're doing an excellent job, my man. Thanks for that, man. No, the podcast is interactive like yours. Well, I enjoy having the interaction with people. If it's just me coming up and giving a sermon every morning, I'm afraid I'd put everybody to sleep. So, yeah, trying to make it interactive. Eduardo, preach, Bo. I get crucified for saying Decker was mid last year. No, I know I talked about it a little bit. You can see where some of his lateral movement has taken a decline. And maybe it's because he was fighting through injuries or whatever. I'm trying to be as fair to him as possible. But to me, when you watch that first left leg go back on any exterior pass rush move, you could see where the twitch isn't there as much as it was in prior years. And again, maybe he's fighting through injury, so it wasn't so much. I had no problem when people tried to go inside on him, so right hand dominant, because that was still there, and his placements were fine. It also allowed more of the guard position to try to help back him up. But anybody who basically just wanted to go LT and speed rush the outside, force that left leg back, it happens. Father Time is undefeated in any sport. At some point, you're all getting replaced. We're all going to the sidelines. The end comes. And I like Taylor Decker. He is a lion through and through. But you also have to be fair as a general manager, and that sometimes you have to help somebody admit when the time has come for them to understand maybe some changes are going to happen. And I'm not saying that's happened here with Taylor Decker. I'm not pushing him off to the pasture. Like I said, maybe he was hurt or whatever. But I would start paying attention to looking for replacements just to be safe for the team. All right, Kara, Eduardo, I agree. Exclamation point. We need a wrecker to add for sure. I think with that, plus what we have, once this season starts, we'll be in a great position, pending health, of course. Yep, health is another big one. Doug, I'd be very conscious of where our picks and know where the Packers picks are. They know our team needs, as well as any team in the NFL. They've got 2 seconds, 2/3, and pick before us in the first. So we may need to do something. Yeah, and I'm sure they're definitely aware of that. All the teams are aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses, especially when it comes to interdivisional teams. All right, Waltz, good morning, coach and new crew. Believe in Brad to take us to the Super Bowl! Exclamation points. I hope we get Jackson Powers, Johnson, and Nealon. I know they're on my list. If we build from the lines on out, I'm okay with it. Gary, I do like how you incorporate videos now. Don't get too caught up in additional things. Yeah, just your opinion, of course. Yeah, I'm just trying to add little things here and there just to try to break up the monotony. And of course, I want to keep trying to develop. I look back on the show when I first started it like a year ago, and yeah, it's changed a little bit. My abilities have grown, and really, it makes it more fun to me. I don't want to just stay pat. All right, Eduardo, if Hutch goes down, we are messed up for sure. Need a rookie in the first of this year's that has number 1 edge potential. All right, we'll go with that. And there are probably going to be some options for us, especially if we trade up. Kara, we need heavy investment in the O-line outside of backups. I think Decker was the other guy that gave up more sacks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Boy, as far as who gave up the most sacks, that I'm not 100% sure. But Decker, I mean, you've already heard me talk about it. I'd at least would be paying attention to that position. But what do you got? Hutch on the sidelines more? Yeah, let him rest up a little bit more. Broski, this season, Graham Gano, New York Giants, $7.2 million. Matt Gay, Indiana, $5.9 million. Justin Tucker, Baltimore, $5.8 million. Yohanado Ku, Atlanta, 5.2. Chase McLaughlin, Tampa Bay, $5 million. So, yeah, I'm not going to say Bates is going to get that, but I could also see somebody throwing it at him just to acquire him in a bidding war, because I do think it's ultimately going to be a bidding war to get him on whoever's NFL roster. At least if he keeps, just beating up the ball the way he is with the accuracy and the leg strength. Gary, I think Martin will come around this year. I think we will be pretty deep at the defensive line. Houston will start at defensive end. I'm thinking you're right, Gary. I'm thinking you are very right with that. Frank, I think Bama linebacker Dallas Turner is reason for trying to move up for or chop hybrid edge linebacker. It could be. It could be the way they go. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about it. I'm aware that we're trying to get up to 15 to 19, somewhere in that range. Who you're going to get at that point, that's the biggest guessing game going around the NFL right now with every NFL franchise. One funky, Tucker got something like $24 million over 4 years. Yeah, he got paid. Trade, to be fair, Holmes needs to make a trade for impactful player at some point. He does draft well, but at some point, every good contending team makes a trade for an impactful player. Yeah, and to your point, Trey, we're pretty stacked throughout this team. So getting 1 or 2 guys to come in and just be dudes, try to push the offense or defense, whatever, to a whole new level. I'm guessing the defense more than the offense. Yeah, that would make sense to me, because the defense looks like they've got some sound pieces. Now, can you add a few star players to it that can take that defense to a whole nother level? I'm on board with that, man. Matthew, what do you got? Tucker for Baltimore, 4 years, $24 million, 5.5 million signing, 17.5 million guaranteed, works out around $6 million a year. Yeah, and that dude is a monster, so I get it. Eduardo, say no to chop. Fair enough. No chops here. All right, Trey, can't always rely on rookies to be your best players. No, I agree. And especially if you're thinking you're trying to go for it now or next year. Kara, anyone see film on Graham Barton? ? He seems pretty solid. Would it be too perfect if we got Centrelli, Nealon, Zinter, and Barton? ? I like to dream big before the draft sometimes. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. That's part of what makes the draft fun, is the opportunity of what could happen, the expectation or hope what could happen. Brett, yeah, I knew where you're going with that, Kara. All right, Dennis, Carmen McKittens, Miami's, that's the pick. Fair enough. Hatman, Jackson Powers Johnson still waking up. It happens, man. Eduardo, can't wait until the draft is over. I need our questions answered. All will be revealed in 9 days. Well, I guess about a week and a half until that's all over with the draft. Robert, greetings and salutations back at you. Doug, In the post, the Lions could not pack the stadium. In the past, Lions could not pack the stadium. A lot of paper bag years. Yes, anything that pays them a buck, parking, concessions, uniforms is affected. They used to draft only cheap signings. They did, man, 100%. Phil, if Brad takes Chop, there has to be a reason. You would have to believe that. Yes, if Brad does go with the route of the Chop, then he believes Chop Robinson is the best player available to the Lions at that point. Doug, now they got a good brand of lemonade. There you go. They're adding on up, man. I just need them to get more hot sauce flavors for me when I do go there, especially for the food, because I put hot sauce on everything. All right, let's see. Eduardo, I could see them drafting McNeil, potentially replacements. Yep. I could see that too. Broski, Eduardo, let's see. Are you standing by your best player available no matter what reason? I could see that. I think that's ultimately what Brad Holmes will do, is just best player at every position. And if he can make some trades to acquire what they feel the Lions is the best player, then they're probably going to go with that. Moonscar, Wings and Washington Capitals tied in points for the last playoff spot. Both with one game left. Caps have to lose and Wings have to win. All right, well, they've got a shot. So you're saying there's a chance. All right, then got some sort of pop-up that hit on my screen. Sorry about that, guys. All right, Moonscar, Caps have the tiebreaker. Most regulation wins. There you go. Eduardo, Dan the man. Thank you for that. Phil, one of my nurses is in detox right now. Prayers for him. Even professional people struggle. Yes, people of all ages, sizes, shapes, personalities, hair color, whatever. I mean, life's tough on us all, man. It's a whole lot easier to get knocked down and stay down. It's not always easy to get back up. Ed, what do you got? Good morning, Coach New Crew. Back at you, Ed. Lions King. I won't trust Brad Holmes if he signs Goff to $50 million a year. Fair enough. That's will be a point someone will have. Phil, has Pascal been a bust? Has he been in bust territory? He was expected to be outstanding. To me, man, it's just he can't stay healthy. He seems to get injured a lot. Miles, clap. Fair enough. Broski, don't do that, Dan. You're better than that. Plus is king. All right. What did I mess up now? I don't know. All right. Fair enough. Sorry about that, Broski. I'm not sure what I did. So, Frank, what do you got? Linebacker is probably a quiet point of need. Would love Bama's Dallas Turner. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are fans of him for sure. Let's see. Doug, Pascal will improve with a better defensive line coach. Yeah, Williams and also Reader. This is true. Phil, Bangarang. There you go. Broski, Eduardo is a funny guy. All right. Eduardo, Jack Fox is awesome. He is, man. He is. Yeah, I really like Jack Fox. Phil, Jack Fox is the best player on the team. There could be an argument for that. Eduardo, all right, Phil, let's relax. All right. Trey, Mayo did draft Stafford, Levi, Sue, Javid Best, Slay, Ansa. Fans don't give Mayhew his credit. I think he was being coaching that held the team back. Yeah, I think they made, there's obviously they could have taken Aaron Donald and some other stuff, and I don't get on that because you know what? There's so much of that. Hey, everybody could have drafted Tom Brady or whoever else. There's probably some truth that some coaching could have helped the team they had. Javid Best, hey, it's unfortunate about his head injuries. Slay obviously was hit. Ansa, I think he had some real good seasons. Injuries, like all NFL players, they caught up to him. At the end of the day, there's a lot of things that could have happened differently with that, mid, I guess you say, 2010s team that just unfortunately didn't go that way. Don Kong, Super Bowl or bust. Always agree. Dennis, amen. Phil, I'm so relaxed, I'm falling asleep. By the way, Eduardo, you're about to be added to the heavyweight show. Good John, man. All right. Good job. All right. I didn't know that. So good. Congrats on that, Eduardo. Doug, getting the franchise player early is more important this year than any year. Impact. We have depth. An all-pro that is left regardless of position. Wide receiver, offensive line, edge, cornerback. I'll go with that. Yep, I'll go with that. All right, guys, it's been over an hour. Time for me to get on out of here. I got to get some stuff ready for the day and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to get to 6,400. Also, if you would be so kind, hit the thumbs up button. Try to get this video to 200 thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. If there is some sort of breaking news later today, I'll get it to you guys as quick as possible. Other than that, take care. Enjoy your days. And we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.